Empires are not built on stone alone, they are built on belief. Long before Babylon became a legend, it was already tired. Its walls were high, its markets loud, and its temples rich. But beneath the gold and incense, fear ruled quietly. Every kingdom needs a god, not because gods protect cities, but because fear needs a name. Bel was that name. He stood carved in black stone, towering above the people. His priests spoke for him. His altar drank wine every night, and each morning the food placed before him was gone. So the people believed he lived. But not everyone in Babylon belonged to Babylon. Daniel was a foreigner, taken from his homeland in chains when he was still young, raised inside palace walls, taught the language of conquerors, trained to serve kings who were not his own. He learned their laws, he mastered their records, he advised their rulers, but he never bowed to their idols. Years passed, kingdoms changed hands, kings rose and fell. Yet Daniel remained quiet, observant and faithful to a god no statue could hold. The king trusted Daniel, not because Daniel flattered him, but because Daniel spoke carefully and never lied. In matters of state, Daniel was precise. In matters of conscience, he was immovable. The priests hated him for this. They wore fine robes and carried sacred keys. They controlled rituals, festivals, and fear itself. To them, Daniel was dangerous. He had no temple, no army, no followers, only truth. And truth unsettles men who profit from silence. After King Astyages had passed and was gathered to his fathers, Cyrus of Persia received his kingdom. Daniel conversed with the king and was honored above all his friends. During that time, the Babylonians had an idol called Bel, upon whom they spent 12 great measures of fine flour, 40 sheep, and 6 vessels of wine every day. Cyrus the king worshipped it and went daily to adore it. But Daniel worshipped his own God. So the king said unto him, Why do you not worship Bel? Then he answered and said, Because I may not worship idols made with hands, but the living God, who hath created the heaven and the earth, and has sovereignty over all flesh. Then asked the king, Do you not believe or think that Bel is a living God? See how much he eats, and how much he drinks every day. Then Daniel smiled, and said, O king, do not be deceived, for this is but clay on the inside, and brass on the outside, and it never eats or drinks anything. So the king was annoyed by this, and called for the priests of Bel, and said unto them, If you do not tell me who it is that devours these expenses, you shall all die. But if you can certify to me that Bel devours them, then Daniel shall die, for speaking blasphemy against Bel. Then Daniel replied, saying unto the king, Let it be according to thy word. Now the priests of Bel were 70, 70 of them besides their wives and children. And the king went with Daniel into the temple of Bel. So Bel's priests said, Now we go out, but you, O king, set on the meat, and make ready the wine, and shut the door fast, and seal it with your own signet. And tomorrow when you come in, and do find that Bel hasn't eaten up all set before him, we will suffer death, or else Daniel, that speaks falsely against us. The priests had little regard for the threats of the king, for under the table they had made a secret entrance, whereby they entered into the temple continually, and consumed the thing set before Bel. So when they were gone, the king set meats before Bel. Now Daniel had commanded his servants to bring ashes, and they scattered it subtly throughout all the temple in the presence of the king alone. Then went they out, shut the door, and sealed it with the king's signet, and departed. Later that night came the priests with their wives and children as usual, and they ate and drank up everything. In the morning the king arose, and Daniel with him. And the king said, Daniel, Are the seals whole? And he said, Yea, O king, they are whole. And as soon as he had opened the door, the king looked upon the table, and cried with a loud voice, Great art thou, O Bel, and with thee is no deceit at all. Then laughed Daniel, and held the king that he should not go in, and said, Look now at the pavement, and notice well whose footsteps these are. And the king said, I see the footsteps of men, women, and children. And then the king was angry. So he took the priests with their wives and children, who then revealed to him the secret doors where they came in, and consumed the things that were set upon the table. Therefore the king slew them, and delivered Bel into Daniel's hands. Daniel destroyed Bel and his temple, reducing it to ruins and rubble. And in that same place there was a great dragon, which the people of Babylon worshipped. And the king said unto Daniel, Will you also say that this is of brass? Look upon him, he lives, he eats and drinks. You cannot say that he is no living God, therefore worship him. Then Daniel said to the king, I will worship the Lord, my God, for he is the living God. But give me leave, O king, and I shall slay this dragon without sword or staff. The king said, I give you leave. Then Daniel took pitch and fat and hair, and boiled them together, and molded them into balls, which he fed to the dragon. And so the dragon burst apart, and Daniel said, Look, are these the gods you worship? When the people of Babylon heard that, they were greatly annoyed, and conspired against the king, saying, The king has become a Jew, and he has destroyed Bel, slain the dragon, and put the priests to death. So they went to the king, and said, Give us Daniel, or else we will destroy you and your household. And when the king saw how relentless they were, being constrained, he delivered Daniel to them. They then cast him into the lion's den, where he was 6 days. There were 7 lions in the den, and they were each given 2 carcasses, and 2 sheep every day. However, they had not been fed previously with the intent that they might devour Daniel. Now there was a prophet in Judea called Habakkuk, who had made stew, and had broken bread in a bowl, and was taking it to farmers who were harvesting in the field. But the angel of the Lord said unto Habakkuk, Go, carry the dinner that you have made into Babylon, and give it to Daniel, who is in the lion's den. And Habakkuk said, Lord, I've never seen Babylon, neither do I know where the den is. Then the angel of the Lord took him by the hair on his head, and travelled with him through the vehemency of the Spirit into Babylon, over the den. Then Habakkuk called out, O Daniel, Daniel, take the dinner which God has sent to you. And Daniel prayed, saying, You have remembered me, O God, neither have you forsaken those that seek and love you. So Daniel got up, took the food and ate. And then the angel of the Lord took Habakkuk back to Judea again immediately. Upon the 7th day the king went to mourn Daniel. But when he came to the den, he looked in and saw Daniel sitting. Then the king cried with a loud voice, saying, Great art, Lord, God of Daniel, and there is none other beside you. He drew Daniel out, and cast those that were the cause of his destruction into the den, and they were devoured in a moment before his face. Empires fall quietly, not always with fire, not always with war. Sometimes they fall when a lie is exposed. Bel did not die. He was never alive. The dragon did not fall in battle. He collapsed from within. And the priests were not defeated by armies, but by footprints in dust. Daniel did not raise a sword. He raised a question. Power had dressed itself in holiness. Fear had been given rituals, and men had learned to profit from silence. But truth does not shout. It waits, it watches. And when the moment comes, it steps forward. One man stood inside a system built on deception. He had no army, no throne, no followers, only conviction. And that was enough. The lesson is ancient. When gods are made by hands, they can be broken by hands. When faith is controlled by men, it becomes a marketplace. And when truth enters quietly, even kings must listen. Daniel walked away from ruins, but what fell that day was larger than a statue. It was an illusion, a system, a lie that had ruled for generations. Every age has its idols. Some are carved from stone, some wear robes, some sit on thrones, and every age waits for someone brave enough to ask, who is truly being fed? If this story moved you, strengthen its voice. Like, share, and subscribe to Tales of Dust and Kings. The truth still matters, and every king returns to dust.